Hey, this is Sam Black with round 2 of this standard 8-man. I've lost the die roll, and so my opponent will be going first. I have a pretty good hand here. This is the kind of hand where I'm going to lead with Mutavault because I don't have a creature to play on 2, but leading with Mutavault is quite good, and I have a lot of burn in my hand. So my opponent mulligans to 6, and I keep. My opponent leads with a Watery Grave tapped, and because I don't draw a creature, I follow the plan and lead with Mutavault. My opponent plays Swamp and passes, and I draw Young Pyromancer, which I decide to cast instead of attacking with Mutavault, especially as my opponent is... Oh, sorry. I was going to say, especially as my opponent is representing the ability to kill my Mutavault. I realized that I actually also decided not to play the Young Pyromancer because my opponent most likely has a 2-mana removal spell here, and I didn't want to give him the turn to use his mana efficiently, and decided to just play a burn spell on the end of his turn instead, and then I could play the Young Pyromancer when he was tapped out. So, rather than letting him spend his mana efficiently there. So he plays Thoughtseize and takes the Pyromancer, plays land, and I hit him for 3 with a Skullcrack. Draw a land, play it tapped, and pass the turn. Again, not wanting to run my Mutavault into removal at this point. My opponent plays another land and casts a Desecration Demon. And I hit my opponent for another 3, this time with Lightning Strike to keep Skullcrack in case of Grey Merchant. Play a Sacred Foundry untapped and pass the turn. I allow my opponent to hit me for 6 with Desecration Demon, which I don't really expect to matter. My opponent plays land and passes without playing a spell, so I just hit him with a Warleader's Helix to put him to 8 and gain life. He Freakish Cures his own demon to go to 10 instead of 8, and I draw Young Pyromancer, which I decide is worth playing, and play it, and my opponent does not kill it. Note what happened here with the Freakish Cure, which I think was likely in his hand from the beginning. Playing the Young Pyromancer would have let him cure it and gain life there, spending his mana efficiently and getting rid of my guy. Not doing that meant he Thoughtseized that instead of Thoughtseizing another removal spell, and then by the time I actually played another creature, he fired off his cure just to gain 2 life. Might have been preemptive on his part, but did successfully play around the Skullcrack that I had, and I end up with Young Pyromancer here. Anyway, my opponent casts Hero's Downfall on the Young Pyromancer. I respond with a shock just to make a guy. Arguably could have Skullcracked there, but I wanted to save the Skullcrack in case the life gain interaction was relevant later. Despite the mana efficiency of going the other way, which may have been wrong, but it's relevant that so one argument for playing Skullcrack there is that then I have enough mana to stoke the flames and shock by convoking with the elemental, but if I Skullcrack there, my opponent's at 7, and Stoke the Flames plus Shock isn't lethal, so it's not necessarily that valuable to be able to play everything on my turn, since it won't kill him. So that's part of why I didn't worry about that there. So my opponent just hit me for 6 and passed. I didn't sack my guy because I wanted to have it in play to convoke Stoke the Flames. Or potentially to attack, and I didn't care. And I didn't want to grow the demon yet, and I didn't care about taking 6 damage. I don't attack here because he has Mutavault. He moves to combat, and I intend to sack the Elemental, so that because if he hits me for 6 with the Demon and then plays Grave Merchant, I'll die. So I use the Elemental to convoke Stoke the Flames to put him to 4, and then sacrifice the Elemental to tap the Grave Merchant, or to tap the Desecration Demon. There is no Grave Merchant. And my opponent has no play, so I Skullcrack him down to 1. At this point, I draw another Stoke the Flames, which is great, and I cast it to kill my opponent, but my opponent has Devour Flesh to gain 7 life and go to 4. My opponent attacks me with Mutavault to put me down to 8. And here, I make a pretty big mistake. Animate both Mutavaults, realizing that I'm running into Bile Blight as soon as I animate the second one, but at that point it's too late. I attack with both of them, and of course, he has the Bile Blight. Yeah, I think I should have just attacked with one of them, since putting him to 2 is certainly good enough. I'm not going to lose the race to his Mutavault, and forces him to do something about it anyway. My opponent draws Underworld Connections, which doesn't really do very much. He's afraid to use it because going to 3 would put him in range of Lightning Strike. Hits me with Mutavault, putting me down to 6. Draws a card. Hits me with Mutavault down to 4. Doesn't have any plays. I fail to draw anything relevant. He continues to not use Underworld Connections, possibly partially because I'm holding this card in my hand. Animates Mutavault, puts me to 2, and now I need to draw something. Plenty of cards in my deck to kill my opponent. But I draw Shock, which doesn't kill my opponent, but does save me from the Mutavault. So I pass. My opponent animates, goes to attack, and as expected, I kill it. My opponent plays land, has 1 card in hand. I draw Chandra's Phoenix, which of course I cast. Attack, and my opponent has a removal spell for it. So now we're fully in a top-decking game, and I draw Boros Charm and kill him. He tries to draw with Underworld Connections, but I believe has no outs at that point, and dies.